You are now listening to the Unnamed Podcast, Sport Podcast. We're going to get to that in a second. Y'all going to have to help us out.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure that out. But I am your boy G-Dot.
It's your boy Big Lou.
And this is something kind of new. So it's two brothers trying to do sports talk radio. We hope you enjoy it. We'll be talking about the most recent current events going on in sports, on and off the field. You know, whatever's most relevant, whether it be the games, whether it be what's going on outside the games. But for your listening pleasure, we'll bring you the most recent sports activities. We hope y'all tune in. We hope y'all subscribe to the podcast and subscribe to the YouTube videos that's coming soon. And with that, we'll jump right into it.
Look with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, the biggest thing in sports right now, of course, is football. But right now, all the attention is going to what's going on on the field, but before the game, with the kneeling and what have you. And even in this past weekend was week 3 of the NFL season.
Week 3.
And your president, your commander-in-chief, called out the NFL players.
The big Cheeto.
Called out the NFL players, telling them that they shouldn't be protesting. For those of you that have been hiding under a rock somewhere, last year, Colin Kapernick, quarterback of the 49ers, decided to start protesting police brutality and inequality and injustices in the communities by... First, people don't realize he started sitting first. Before he started kneeling, he was just sitting on the bench. And people were questioning why he wasn't standing. He had a conversation with an Army vet, and the Army vet thought that it would be more respectful. Ironically, the Army vet thought it would be more respectful if he kneeled during the national anthem as opposed to just sitting down. So that's how the kneeling started to begin with. Fast forward to this year. He didn't get a job. Well, everybody knows he didn't get a job. He's unemployed right now. He's better than, I say, a third of the quarterbacks in the NFL. Easily, right? And you got players that decided to join in that are still rocking with him. You got homeboy from the Eagles, Michael Jenkins, as well as others that were protesting. Malcolm Jenkins, excuse me. And the commander-in-chief, the big Cheeto, decided to chime in and say, you know what? It's not the time and place to be protesting on the NFL field. So the players got a little annoyed with that. You know, Trump is a controversial figure. The players got annoyed, and they decided this past Sunday that they were going to do something jointly, I guess you would say. Across the NFL teams, people decided they were going to do what they needed to do to make a stand. It's real controversial. Some players were afraid. I know here at home, none of the New York Jets protested. And that's not a coincidence, because Woody Johnson, owner of the New York Jets, is the ambassador for the U.S. In the UK, appointed by Donald Trump.
Yep, he had his brother on the field for him, and they locked arms, but locking arms ain't the same as taking that knee.
Word on the street, though, was that they were told, in a not so nice way, that if you protest, the Jets got a bad team to begin with, right? So you
tell me.
So you protest, and we'll get to our alliances and allegiances as far as our sports teams later on. We'll go, around individually to talk about, who we rooted for and how we got there. But as far as the Jets, it's a throwaway season, and so they were like, "Listen, y'all, we don't have any confirmation of this, but reports were that the Jets were told not to protest." Players all around the league did something. I know a few players on the Giants had knelt down. Monday Night Football, there was a bunch of guys that knelt down. The Cowboys, Jerry Jones joined his squad. They all kneeled first, and then when they were about to start the anthem, everybody stood up. So you could read into that what you will. But that's been dominating sports lately. It's been a distraction from people actually enjoying the games. People talking about the ratings are down. People talking about they're not watching anymore. DirecTV is offering a refund for the Sunday ticket if you're annoyed at the protests. I found that interesting.
Yeah, like that type of talk. Hey, if DirecTV is gonna give you money back, I ain't mad at you. Go get it.
I mean, I think it's a play. It's a play by DirecTV. I think it's a play by the networks in general. Listen, the NFL got the networks by the balls right now. They're paying buku bread to have these TV contracts, and I know that contract is up soon. And I got a feeling they feel like this is their out to try and switch it up. This is they out to try and lower the numbers because the NFL does whatever they want. They can get whatever numbers they want. They can do whatever they want to do. I know there's a deal now with Verizon that if you want to stream the games on your phone, it's exclusively with Verizon. Like they have crazy contracts, but I think they're trying to lower that a little bit. I can see that as a power move by DirecTV. I know, in the African American community, they're trying to boycott watching the games in general. Trump is saying to boycott if people are not going to stand for the anthem. It's a lot of boycotting going on.
A lot of boycotting, but the way I see it, if Colin Kaepernick not getting a job is what made you want to boycott, if Colin Kaepernick not getting a job is what made you realize that the NFL was unjust, while I don't want to shit on you for finally being awake, but you was late to the party. Niggas been here.
Yeah, I mean, the problem I have with this whole thing is his protest is kind of lost in the sauce about people saying you disrespecting the anthem. Yeah. That's not what it was about. By the way, for those of you that don't know, Colin Kaepernick, I believe he was adopted, has adoptive parents who served, or his dad I know, served in the military. Or he has an uncle, something to that effect, that served in the military. And I'm a little annoyed at the fact that they've changed the narrative from protesting injustices and police brutality to
whether or not you respect the flag.
Right. Look what we opened up the podcast with. Like this is gone to protests about something that's going on, which is cool. One side is saying, "Hey, don't disrespect the flag." The other side is saying it got nothing to do with the flag. It got to do with all the injustices that's going on in the world. I think the whole narrative is kind of lost in what you protesting. Personally, and I've talked to a lot of people about this whole protesting. If I was an owner, and you're gonna be surprised when I say this, if I was an owner, I wouldn't sign Kaepernick either. I'm gonna tell you why. It's not about white or black. It's about green. If my customers are a certain demographic, and obviously black people, Spanish people, everybody, we all watch sports. But if you had to look at the NFL numbers, if I had to go out on a limb here, I have nothing to back this up. But if I had to go out on a limb, I would probably say the average consumer of the NFL that spends their money on season tickets, that buys the apparel. I'm not saying that us folks don't. I'm just saying that the average consumer probably is, of European persuasion. Like I said, putting the money down on the PSLs at MetLife Stadium. Yeah, they got the 2-3 jerseys in the closet. You understand what I'm trying to say? So if those are the people that I'm making my money off of, those are the people that's going through the turnstiles on Sunday, those are the people that's buying the apparel, do I make a conscious decision to say, you know what, for the greater good, let me sign Colin? Or do I worry about my bottom line and, you know what, this homeboy's bad for business?
Yeah, you got to cater to your clientele. That's just simply how business works.
Yeah. As much as I agree, I love what he's standing for. I love what he's fighting for. I can appreciate the fact that he went out on a platform. He went out and he stuck his neck out there. Not many people making millions of dollars was gonna be like, you know what, this is wrong. Let me do this. Let me do that. There's a lot of brothers out there. Des Bryant, who was like, listen, I got mouths to feed. I got kids to feed. I got checks to collect. It's a time and place for everything. That's Des Bryant. And you got Colin Kaepernick that's like, you know what? Let's talk about it. Let me do something to bring attention to this. Let me do something to bring awareness to this. And that's why we're talking about it today. But if I'm an NFL owner, never mind the black, the brown, the yellow, I'm worried about the green, and signing homeboy would not be a good business. Bad for business.
See, I got a similar opinion, but for a different reason. Because with me, it's about winning. And unless I'm mistaken, Marshawn Lynch has been sitting through anthems his entire career.
Right.
But Marshawn Lynch is a monster.
Correct.
So nobody says anything to him.
So, okay. So how much do you think of it is performance? Because Colin is no chump, but he's not Marshawn Lynch. So how much? So people try to say, listen, he's not signed because he's just not that good.
He hasn't been Colin Kaepernick since he took him to the Super Bowl.
Agreed.
But, you know what I'm saying? The other side of it is he hasn't played on a team that was as good as that Super Bowl team. That run game was A1. That O-line was killing.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? That defense was all world.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they were able to run a run-heavy offense with a quarterback who wasn't that accurate, but he was athletic and he knew how to run the play action.
I mean,
that's the same thing that Tebow needed. There were a lot of quarterbacks that
Kaepernick better. Kaepernick better.
No, he was, but it's a similar situation because it's like talent plus circus. Is it worth it?
True. Agreed. I think in a better system, Kaepernick could probably flourish. It wasn't going to work in Frisco because they brought in the old coordinator from Atlanta who
Kyle Shanahan
blew the Super Bowl, but that's a different story. But they brought in Shanahan.
He had 28 points in the first half. He ain't blow nothing. That
but you up 28 to whatever, and you throwing it down the field. I understand you got Julio Jones. I understand you got Matt Ryan. I don't want to go on a tangent here, but you got to run the ball, player. Yeah. They just gave homie a big contract.
But you also dance with who brung you, and that
at 28-3. Listen, 28-3. I'm not losing at Madden 28-3 in the third quarter. I'm just saying.
Dan Quinn makes his money because he is a defensive genius.
Yeah, of course. He came from Seattle. Agreed.
The genius wasn't on display on that side of the field. Belichick, they was pulling everything out the ass. Tom Brady, that was some gutsy shit. But Atlanta just could have made a couple plays, and they would have been Super Bowl champions, but they didn't.
But to get back on track, Kaepernick wouldn't fit in the system that way where you throwing the ball down the field. Kaepernick was more, Kaepernick would have fit. You know what? He was going to sign with Seattle as a backup.
He might have done well there.
And I think the reason why he didn't end up signing, because they probably was like, we're going to sign you for the veterans minimum. Now, if I'm 29 and I'm Kaepernick and I took a team to the Super Bowl, why am I signing for the veterans minimum?
I don't think the contract number mattered because at one point he was saying he would play for free and he would donate his full salary. What happened with Seattle is right when they were talking to Kaepernick, that's when the dissension between the defense and the offense sprung up, where people were like, Pete Carroll be babying Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's a little chubby nigga, and he ain't really the one.
Okay.
And they didn't want to bring in. You don't bring in that type of competition if your QB1 spot is not set.
You saying Kaepernick would have been a legit threat?
He would. The first time they lose the game, they would have been like, "All right, we can win with Kaepernick. Get rid of Wilson."
Oh, he just signed that contract though, so he's set.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, the defense in Seattle is what wins games.
Except for last week. You see what happened to them against
in January.
Okay, all right.
You know what I'm saying?
Fair enough.
The defense feels they should have 2 or 3 Super Bowl wins under their belt. Not even counting the one that he gave away. Mm-hmm. So when you bring in that type of distraction, like there's an old saying, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any quarterbacks. Because you need that one solid quarterback who knows he's the guy, so he doesn't have to worry about any distraction. He never has to look over his shoulder. Because if he is looking over his shoulder, he's not looking forward. He's not going to be the one that's going to lead you to where you need to go.
You don't think at times having somebody like a legit not comparable, but somebody that can play as your second string, you don't think that helps a young and up and coming quarterback? Now Russell Wilson is in his prime right now. He's probably, I think he's 28, 29, right around Kaepernick's age. I'm not sure if Kaepernick being on that team is a threat to Russell. Again, he just signed a contract. He won a Super Bowl, brought him to another Super Bowl. I think that, in the contrary, Seattle's one hit away is one ACL away from Russell Wilson from being like really in trouble.